Senator Hagerty, I want to get right to it. You were at the State of the Union last night. Just your thoughts generally on the speech by President Biden.
Well, it was painful, I must say. Again, this is just a continuation of the Joe Biden presidency, which has been the greatest bait and switch in American politics. You know, he ran as a moderate, hiding in his basement. What he's done is he's handed over his entire administration and his presidency to a far-left woke mob. And what we see is just disinformation, far-left policies. And he tried to basically gaslight the American public last night with all types of misrepresentations. It was really, really hard to sit there and listen to him taking a victory lap on the economy that he's done his very best to destroy. To mention fentanyl and talk about the crisis, but not the fact that he's made it far worse. And you just think about time and time again, Joe Biden stands there and misses it. And the compliant media, I'm sure, are saying that he hit it out of the park. But I think the person that really hit it out of the park was Sarah Huckabee Sanders in her retort last night.
She did a great job. Let me play something, Senator, from President Biden last night regarding China.
I'm committed to work with China where we can advance American interests and benefit the world. But make no mistake about it. As we made clear last week, if China threatens our sovereignty, we will act to protect our country, and we did.
The ridiculous nature of that, of course, was that balloon went traversed the entire continental United States, right through the middle of the heartland of the country, including Tennessee, by the way. And then he shoots it down when it goes over Hilton Head after it's already connected its data. And the word he doesn't want to use is enemy. And I understand the geopolitical ramifications of all this. So he likes the word competition and all that. What was your reaction to the way that entire spice balloon situation was handled?
Well, I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. He should have just confronted this head on and talked, in real terms to the American people. The Chinese Communist Party have no respect for this administration. They have no respect for our sovereignty. Their affiliated entities are partnering with Mexican drug cartels and killing Americans. Joe Biden isn't mentioning that. They have no respect for our sovereignty in the air. They clearly proved that. And I think what they were doing was testing us as a nation to see what our resolve was. And frankly, had a newspaper outlet in Montana not spotted that balloon, I don't know that we would have ever heard about it. And I think Anthony Blinken might have been flying over to Beijing and having a photo op, which just seems to be the way this administration wants to run their entire presidency, is from photo op to photo op, from press release to press release, spin, 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 nothing anchored in reality whatsoever. The Chinese are acting like our enemies. Think about it.
We saw the administration, Senator Hagerty, try to blame this on the Trump administration. This was happening on the Trump administration. Now we've clarified that, and we've got even kind of more troubling info in your kind of oversight role as a U.S. Senator. We heard from General Van Herk, who oversees NORAD, yesterday. Let's play this bite for everybody. Take a listen.
It's my responsibility to detect threats to North America. I will tell you that we did not detect those threats. And that's a domain awareness gap that we have to figure out.
So when the American people, Senator Hagerty, hear domain awareness gap, you were ambassador to Japan, I guess, while this was happening, and NORAD was missing it and not reporting it because they didn't even catch it. Seems like there's a serious role for Congress and the Senate to jump in and say, what is going on at NORAD that you didn't catch these giant balloons?
Well, there's certainly a lot more to undertake and to understand here. You're exactly right. I think what we're seeing is a very systemic effort by the Chinese Communist Party to build out capabilities ranging from satellites to these high stratospheric balloons, all the way down to planes, the same way they're doing with their Navy. They've got more ships now than we do. They're taking a very aggressive posture from a military standpoint. We need to wake up, appreciate it, and deal with it.
It's interesting also that we were talking to our military analyst, Colonel Wes Smith, and he said that the Chinese right now have more launch capability for nuclear weapons than the United States as well. Let me ask you about the fentanyl situation, which is, of course, wreaking havoc for families across America. The president spoke about that. What he doesn't say, though, and refuses to say, is to secure the border. He talks about having better detection machines and that kind of technology. But the fact of the matter is, as Jordan said in the last segment, you could take 100,000 fentanyl pills in a backpack. And so you got to stop the unlawful entry at the border, which is something he refuses to acknowledge.
Yeah, it's absolutely pathetic that if you think about who has been the greatest precipitant of the deaths from fentanyl in America, it's been Joe Biden and his policies that are absolutely collapsing our southern border. And the Democrats in the Congress and the Senate are walking hand in hand with him in this responsibility. 3 times last year, I brought my legislation to the floor to block fentanyl coming across that southern border. Title 42 could be and should be expanded to include what is the greatest health crisis that we face as the nation right now. Between the ages of people between 18 and 45, the number one killer of people in that age group right now is drug overdose. We could stop it by securing that border. And each time Democrats came to the floor to block my legislation, they're willing to, incur 100,000 deaths a year just so that they can get their wish list done in terms of transforming America, changing our electorate, and flooding our country with now over 5 million people on Joe Biden's watch. We don't know who they are. 160 different nationalities have been encountered, as they say, coming across that border just since Joe Biden took office and collapsed it. We have a massive national security threat there.
Yeah, not only, I would say, Senator Hagerty, you're a foreign affairs expert. You're on the U.S. Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. You're also on the Banking and Housing and Urban Affairs Committee, as well as the Appropriations and Rules Committee. But I want to go to the economy then, because I think that bottom line, this is what impacts every single American, whether it's inflation or just economic uncertainty in the stock market. And the Biden administration acts like they've got a plan. They act like everything's rosy. They'll say we added 12 million jobs, and then we get the actual Labor Statistics Board tell us, well, not really. We added a couple million jobs. The other 10 million were jobs people lost during the COVID pandemic that they just returned to. So do you hear any actual economic plan to get us out of this inflation scenario? Because it seems like the only thing they do is raise interest rates.
Yeah, well, they have no plan whatsoever. In fact, if you listen carefully to what Joe Biden said, all he did was tout how he's going to spend more. We need to finish the job, meaning we need to spend trillions more. If you think about what the Fed's job is like right now, they have a very difficult time because this nation's fiscal policies under Joe Biden have been so heavily inflationary. Think about the trillions of dollars that they pumped into the economy at a time we didn't need it. The federal spending is crowding out private spending. And you've got a Fed that's probably going to have to push the private sector economy into a recession just to deal with the fact that we're overwhelming it with all of this public money spending. And there's more to come. There's over $700 billion left in unspent COVID funds in state coffers. It's still in the pipeline, and he's still talking about spending more.
Senator, we appreciate you being on, appreciate your work for the American people and the folks, of course, of your state of Tennessee, and keep up the great work. We appreciate you.